Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Streets of Rage 3. Now, if you weren't paying attention to the previous cutscene in the last part, yes, indeed, it seems that, yes, Axel has betrayed everybody. But if the Axel with us is evil, then, yeah, we pretty much have a lot more to deal with, and, yeah. Kind of further to go with the whole American version of the plots, well, not even that really, because, I mean, technically, you know, robotics and thing was introduced in Streets of Rage 2. Yeah, basically, robot duplicate shenanigans are abound, as we're about to find out as we ascend this little construction site to encounter Robo-Axel, the Supreme Axel. And, yeah, that was also another thing that a lot of criticism of Streets of Rage 3 was levied at, with the plot tending to go with a bit more of a sci-fi bent, with, you know, all robot duplicate shenanigans going on. Even though that was introduced in Streets of Rage 2, so, fan favorite doing bad things. I guess people are getting a bit antsy in their pensy and blaming barrels for doing thing. Yeah, stage hazards. Was it really worth it? No, it wasn't. But I had a roast chicken, so now everything is alright. But yeah, in any case, we pretty much have to confront the Robo-Axel, see what the hell's going on, and with the chief of police kidnapped, well, we just gotta figure out what the hell is going on. And I mean, in this case, yeah, just involves beating up more goons and making our way to find more of the plot. May we all meet again in Streets of Rage 5, the search for more money. But in any case though, as we're sort of just trekking about all these random construction sites, yeah, stage hazards are still a thing, you know, as we see with the falling barrels. And again, holes are also instant kill for enemies as well as yourself, so yeah, make full usage out of those bottomless pits, although how bottomless they are is anybody's guess. Well, I mean, I suppose they must be deep enough to at least break somebody's bones or spine, so yeah, nothing to really worry about. Take that, Carlos. By the way, they also spell Garcia's name right, so it's no longer Garcia, unless you're playing the Japanese version, so... content, nui. Now, this is something I'm slightly more embarrassed about, because, yeah, we're pretty much being chased by a giant fucking bulldozer here. And, yeah, if you want to stop the bulldozer from crashing into you, just, well, just kick the edge of the, you know, giant shovel, thing. I didn't know about this until this very playthrough, so I'm pretty much playing this fucking pants-on-head stupid, and, oh, how embarrassing. Although, in fairness though, like, I mean, as strong as a woman that Blaze is, you know, a single woman versus giant fucking bulldozer, you're not gonna win, and, well, you know what, just see for yourself, because, you know, a kick from Blaze should not send this thing fucking backwards. Well, I mean, I could have saved myself a lot of, lost lives, but, one last fatal pippin just to injure me soul. Bonk. Somebody up there helping Blaze, or was that just pure an accident? Well, sure he'll probably get workers' compensation, I guess. Or does Mr. X even have that, or probably not? I wonder what sort of health benefits criminal organizations do even have, really. Do they have, like, good mob doctors or anything? Or does it even work in the same way as, like, legal things, or do they have their own... I don't know. Yeah, you really do have to wonder, like, what it's like to work for a criminal organization and what the health benefits are for, like, on-job injuries with the police or whatever. Well, I mean, I'm gonna argue it's probably more of a case of take it at your own risk, since you are doing illegal activities, but... whatevers. But yeah, we pretty much have yet another elevator segment, courtesy of Streets of Rage 2, as it goes upward, downward, side to side, so are we meant to be on, like, a scaffolding lift or something? Yeah, whatever, it's neither here nor there in this case. Anyway, to kind of talk about more Streets of Rage 3 trivia, yes, in terms of some other edits that was made to the game to make it a little bit more acceptable for release, even though the other previous Streets of Rage games never had much of a problem with this, is that, yeah, also a little bit more censorship on some of the female enemies. Primarily with a lot of the Electro enemies, you know, the dominatrix ladies with the whips. Yeah, they basically gave them a jacket and, that was pretty much that. Yeah, I mean, didn't exactly change anything, but wait, what's going on? Oh dear, an accidental hit of the rewind button. But yeah, you can see that they pretty much gave them a jacket, even though, well, you can quite clearly see where the edit's made, so it looks more like they're wearing, you know, jean shorts with blue leggings, and yeah, sprite work is pretty much the same, it's just that they colored it in bits and pieces, and boom, new looks. Come on, your death is inevitable. Your electric whip cannot damage Blaze. Oh dear, now we have Tiger, and Donovan, and Garcia. It looks like this is gonna take a lot of no butters, and how do I do? How are you doing? But anyway, by the time we reach the top of this little scaffolding, we shall finally reach our destination. With a beautiful city backdrop, which, you know, is kind of putting me in mind of Casino Night Zone at the moment, but, either way, a good-looking place. And yeah, we pretty much face off against, well, Axel. The robot duplicate pretty much has all of his moves, but by the time you remove his first health bar, yeah, multiple health bars, that's gonna become a little bit annoying as we get towards later in the game, and, well, especially towards the final boss fight against Mr. X, but, I hold my tongue. But yeah, he pretty much has all of Axel's moves, including his, bare knuckle attack, so, you know, be on the lookout for that. But yeah, by the time you remove one health bar, his skin turns red, which either looks like he has a very bad sunburn, or is meant to be a hint towards the fact that he is a robot. A mechano-man. Ooh, how horrible. But yeah, not really too bad if you know how to counteract his attacks and use your how do I do, and no butter attacks. Though bear in mind those attacks do utilize health, so be on your guard. And make sure that you have the lives to sort of withstand it. But then again, continues are very much a thing, so, you know, should be okay. Hopefully. Assuming that there are no other deaths to be had. Or rather, there are deaths to be had. And yeah, similar to Streets of Rage 2, again, if you do happen to lose, you know, pretty much all your lives and you get to continue, yeah, you do also have the ability to switch between different characters to, you know, test out their movesets and pretty much continue the adventure if you want to swap characters mid-story, so, yeah, that's pretty nice. You don't get to select some of the characters you unlock, such as Rue or anything else, so, you know, there is that. Oh my god, an Axel robot. Am I an android too? Yeah, Dr. Zan's whole deal. Again, I don't think I really covered a lot of his backstory, but I suppose I will cover the American version of his backstory, just to sort of pad out the runtime here. But yeah, Dr. Zan, in the American release, he pretty much used to work for Mr. X, and ended up getting betrayed by him, or rather he didn't like what his plans were doing in terms of designing bombs, you know, to eliminate the city for his criminal empire, so he was pretty much replaced with another man named Dr. Dom, who was actually given a role expansion in the American release. And yeah, he's pretty much using him to deal with the whole cybernetics kind of deal, and well, Dr. Zan, being a master of cybernetics of his own, used his doctorate to construct cybernetics of his own to pretty much aid in the fight against, you know, Mr. X, so yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. Of course, as we enter the secret hatch and go into the underground city down below, well, yeah, stage hazards include trains! So, you gotta be on the lookout, because that's not just a one-time deal, you'll also have to deal with another train! As it goes up and down upon the various tracks, so, yeah, be on the lookout for that. But in any case, he offered his services towards the Streets of Rage gang, stop Mr. X, and bada bing, you do the thing, really. Train hazards. But anyway, this pretty much leads to the ninja stronghold and, you know, Japan, who doesn't like fighting against ninjas? In any case, though, I suppose, you know, I think we'll get into the Japanese version of the plot a little bit later, but in the meantime, though, might as well get into some other censorship changes that were also altered for, well, the Western release. In this case, the colouring of the main cast, because you might be seeing that, you know, in the, well, on the cover of the PAL release, you know, in the Mega Drive version, you pretty much have the whole characters representing their basic colours. Yeah, all the colours of the characters from, you know, Skate, you know, Blaze and Axel, yeah, they pretty much have different coloured shirts or whatever. That wasn't out of, like, any sort of artistic choice, that was purely a localization thing. For the bizarre change of, like, making the characters feel a little bit more gender neutral for some reason? I don't fucking know, that was just the listing that they gave, but it makes no other sense because, I mean, you're still seeing Blaze's very feminine curves. I mean, apart from Axel having a gaudy-looking yellow singlet on, that doesn't exactly make him look any gender neutral, really? It still looks quite masculine, so whatever. I don't know. Just bizarre localization changes that just sort of makes me wonder what the hell was going on here, really. It's odd, I mean, I was trying to do a little bit of research into the credits to see if this might have had anything to do with, you know, any sort of, like, you know, legal team changes, because there was actually, a bit of a thing going back, you know, towards the 90s, where, again, a lot of people know Sega's whole cheeky sort of, like, oh, you know, well, the edgier alternative to Nintendo, but there was actually a time when, one of Nintendo's higher-ups in, towards the localization and legal team, Howard Lincoln, was looking for a job at Sega, and one of the franchises that he did have a big problem with was Streets of Rage. Primarily because of a lot of the, you know, partially because of some of the sexualized enemies with a lot of the women, and, you know, in turn, like, a lot of the hardcore violence that you got with stuff like Mortal Kombat with, you know, Mega Drive versions letting you see a lot of the blood, gore, and violence, but Nintendo censoring that, so Lincoln pretty much had a lot to do with that, with keeping Nintendo's very family-friendly image, whereas Sega was a little bit more, well, you know, risky in that aspect, comparatively to, well, you know, in the days before the PlayStation and, you know, those sorts of consoles sort of took the market share with, you know, more adult titles like Resident Evil and all that. But couldn't really find any conclusive proof in the credits, so maybe this might have been a thing before or after, or maybe an in-between kind of thing, but yeah, either way, like, there was a lot of, well, I mean, again, it might have also been in talks with, you know, changes at the time itself, because, I mean, bear in mind, this was around about the time when, you know, games like Doom and Mortal Kombat were making headlines as, oh no, video games are quite violent, corrupting the children's minds, as, you know, as with any fucking scapegoat of the week, from heavy metal music to fucking, I don't know, sucking the juice out of fucking glow sticks or whatever, so, yeah. I don't know, I guess maybe it would have been a response to those sorts of headlines at the time, but either way, Streets of Rage 3 was a victim of that, and that might have been partially the reason why, well, I mean, at the very least in Western Hemispheres, it was pretty much just a victim, and we never saw the franchise again, until 2020. But never again! Unless, of course, there's a release schedule around the corner, which shows Streets of Rage 5 making the rounds, which, I'd certainly hope so, because, I mean, these games are very fun and very addictive beat-em-up games, so, you know, it'll be a fun little title to experiment with. But, I mean, even in that case, though, I was always kind of hoping for a 3D version of Streets of Rage, but, yeah, sadly, no dice. All I really have to contend with is either Spike Out or, Fighting Force 1, really. Although, that's a bit of trivia that I'll get into next time. But yeah, I mean, Spike Out was, you know, pretty much the Sega-owned Cops Beat X Dogs on the Street, and, you know, that was pretty much the Streets of Rage replacement, sadly, so, yeah. And it was also back during the times when it was one of Sega's earliest titles off the console market before the Sega Sammy buyout, and, well, then during a very long period where Sega didn't really have a lot of titles getting released apart from either a one-off thing with, like, Virtual Fighter or Nights into Dreams, and, well, just a plethora of Sonic releases. The dark times. Oh, the evil. But in any case, so to kind of talk about the enemies of the now that we have, ninjas! Yeah, they basically have the same sort of attack patterns that we had beforehand with all their weapons, you know, kunais, ninja stars, and, you know, samurai swords and all that sort of stuff. Or katanas, or kotetsu, as it's called here. But yeah, not really too much to talk about here. They're very fast on their feet and do have a few live attacks, so, you know, keep it freaky, stay sleazy, and make sure that you're on the guard with your sword attacks or your nobara, or how am I doing? Excuse me. Ouchers! Oh dear, but thankfully if you are quick on the draw, the trains can potentially deal a bit of damage, but then again they do also have cognizant AI, so you know, they will pretty much hang off the girders if they sense a train coming, so, you know, they do have basic train safety. But regardless though, some of them do like to sort of hop about to and fro, so, you know, it is very much just sort of a case of, just trying to keep on the guard. And by the way, that little programming quirk of landing on your own 2 feet if you press up on the jump button simultaneously, yeah, you can pretty much land on your feet and balls your uncle, really. Come on, Kosugi, we will finally defeat you and claim Ultimate Ninja Warrior Championship forevermore. Yeah, but in any case, so, yeah, not really too much to worry about here. Because currently Blaze is okay. Whoopee. I'm just also kind of giving a little bit of thought at the moment, because, yeah, I mean, at time of recording, it is, I mean, it's literally a day after I recorded Sonic X Shadow Generation, so, yeah, I'm just trying to picture when this commentary will be starting to be posted. I'm gonna hope for at least late January, because I didn't really intend for, you know, the Sonic X Shadow Generations commentary to be as long as it was, but, you know, I was covering both games, mind you, so, you know, clumsy me for not really predicting schedules, so, yeah, I don't know, I'm recording a lot of these, like, right at the beginning of the month, but, you won't be seeing these until much later, but then again, that's more just down to my habits of trying to back up so that I have a lot of content for people to watch while I work on reviews and other projects, so I can keep myself working. You know, so I can earn more, so I can do more cocaine, so I can work more, so I can earn more, so I can do more coke. Or at least that's how it feels like whenever I've been doing YouTube the last 10 years, and soon to be going on to 11 years this weekend, 2025, and you know, I just need to earn more, so I can do more coke. So I can, use Masamune, which, is a mythical Japanese sword. Or at least so Final Fantasy tells me, so, yeah, there's also rather famously the Sword of, the Sephiroth, that really long arse blade that looks like it should be very difficult to hilt and, very difficult to, you know, utilize, so, whatever. Oh my god. There's a hidden pagoda beneath the city. Oh my god. Ultimate ninja warriors using the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Oh my god, is Yamato, which is Virgil's sword from Devil May Cry. And it is also a sword from Japan, and was also the formerly name of Japan back in ye oldie times of the, you know, Imperial Japan Empire. Well, that was a bit of a redundant statement, but, heck weesh. Yeah, basically it's, yeah, this little ninja shogun guy is pretty much just gonna be bouncing up and down. He'll pretty much utilize his, shadow clone technique to sort of disappear from view, hide for a little bit. Really, the most difficult thing about it is just sort of trying to reach him. I mean, he can be a little bit annoying as he tries to do a little bit of pip damage and, you know, utilizes ninja techniques to sort of fake you out. You know, as ninjas sort of want to do in history and, well, popular media, but yeah, just sort of go Shintaro on his ass, and yeah, if you're a spy swordsman, then your training will serve you well. Although that's probably a reference nobody's going to get, because it was only ever popular in Japan and rather bizarrely Australia back in the 60s, so yeah. Australia was a fan of Japanese television shows. Well, I mean, if you consider both that and Tenko, really, but that's neither here nor there in this case. Well, and also Astro Boy in the 80s, so yeah, you know what, whatever, I'm just sort of talking out me butt. Yes, indeed, me back passage, as we defeat the ninja, but there's really not too much to say. He just flips around, and has one of those sick as hell Freddy Krueger gloves. But yeah, it is also one of the points in the game where some of the multiple health bars can, well, I wouldn't say be too annoying, but it does sort of, you know, sort of go to showcase the fact that, well, let's just say that the Japanese audience wouldn't be having too much of a difficult time here, because they got an easier game than, what everybody else was. And if you want to, and again, I brought up Devil May Cry 3 in passing earlier, but again, similar to the vanilla release of that game, yeah, you know, the English release ended up getting, you know, normal mode as their hard mode, whereas our easy mode is their normal mode. And that does kind of bring up an interesting thing, where you consider, well, I mean, you can play the games all the way through to the end on easy mode, so why not just play on easy mode as you punch out the ninja stars? There's a nice little mechanic right there. Well, you're going to be seeing a certain ending as we get into the next part, but I hold my tongue on that for the time being. In the meantime, though, as we continue to defeat more of Yamato, who was from Japan, yeah, Streets of Rage 3 got a localization screw over in the difficulty department, and that wouldn't be too bad on its own, but, yeah, there is also one extra little screw in the, well, in kind of like a Konami beat-em-up kind of way, where they really sort of screw over the player for things, you know, not of their own fault, really. Yeah, but in any case, so one of the worst parts of trying to defeat Yamato from Japan, which is partially why I'm mispronouncing it, you know, just like how I call Sun from Dragon Ball Z's Sun, or, you know, many other mispronunciations, like calling that musical Les Miserables, just to make people fucking get angry. Yeah, not really too much else to say. Yeah, we also have a long stretch of boss fight left to go, so Yeah, not really too much else to say, really, although, then again, it does also continue Streets of Rage's long association with ninjas, for whatever reason. Not really too sure why. I guess it was just out of the enemy variety's sake, or I guess maybe as a... I don't know, I guess a cultural element for Japanese players is sort of, you know, who knows, goes, a piece of my home. Home. Bobo. From this widely American-centric game, which I suppose might also play a bit of a reason as to why... I mean, again, even compared to the likes of Virtual Fighter or whatever else that it didn't really tend to sell very well in Japan, but, I mean, then again, even in that case, you know, you have heavy hitters like, you know, Street Fighter or, you know, Final Fighter or whatever, which, you know, tend to be very globetrotting sort of things from Capcom's perspective, so... Yeah, I don't know, Japan seems to really love their fighting games and very worldly, you know... very theme park versions of different cultures as a world tour kind of thing, so really... Not really too sure what it is. I guess maybe the exaggerated nature of it might be the thing compared to Streets of Rage, but... And I guess that's neither here nor there in this case. I guess maybe the whole A-Team phase sort of died down during the mid-90s because it was more of an 80s thing, but... whatever. I mean, then again, bearing in mind that Streets of Rage was very much born out of a mixture between, you know, the A-Team and, well, you know, action movies, as well as, you know, a little bit of E-SWAT, the city under siege. That's neither here nor there in this case. I'm sorry, Yamato. You must be destroyed. If only Blaze was called Rebellion, then we would have the true clash several years early. Come on. No butter. Yes, Yamato, the man from Japan, has no butter, and thus he must rest. Yes, rest. As he explodes. Or maybe that was just his means of escaping. But in any case, we now have, the Pagoda hideout, and, well, I'm Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and, cutscene time go now. Activate.